Hello, welcome to Cinephile Entertainment. I'm a Cinephile critic, and today I'll be reviewing this film. What's wrong with weird? Weird is the reason why I put nuts in my cookies. It's the weird that keeps things interesting. The House with a Clock in Its Walls. So The House with a Clock in Its Walls is a film directed by Eli Roth and stars Jack Black as Jonathan, Kate Blanchett as Miss Zimmerman, Owen Vicario as Lewis. So The House with a Clock in Its Walls is about Lewis. The main character really is actually Lewis. So Lewis is a boy who has experienced grief. Jonathan, which is his uncle, takes him up and he comes to live with Jonathan. So what happens is Jonathan is a sorcerer and Mrs. Zimmerman is a witch. So they live in a world of sorcery, witchcraft, magic, that type of world. So Lewis is ushered into this world. In the beginning, he doesn't really know much, but as time goes on, through the encouragement of Mrs. Zimmerman, Jonathan tells him baby step what he actually does. Lewis wants to learn, so Lewis is now becoming a practicing warlock. We follow Lewis's life as he is learning sorcery, also trying to assimilate into a new environment and also make friends at the same time and be accepted in his new school and new life. But there is strange goings-ons in the house. Late at night, he hears tick, 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 and gongs as well. His uncle's sort of reluctant to say what it is. And what's actually happening, Jonathan and Mrs. Zimmerman has been living through the years of this house being cursed. But it's not cursed by a spirit, and it's not cursed by, a poltergeist or a demon or anything like that. It's cursed due to a spell being put onto this house. There is almost a countdown. So there's a clock somewhere within its walls. Mrs. Zimmerman and Jonathan does not know where it is, and they're trying to find it. And this clock is sort of almost like a countdown to doomsday, and they have to come together to try and find the clock and be the heroes of this story, all wrapped up in Halloween. So this is kind of what this film is about. It's about someone moving to a new place, a new life, and simulating in that new environment, but then also learning, I would say, the dark arts and trying to find out who they are. And that is roughly what this story is, as well as saving the day. It's funny how context and genres really does change aesthetics and the way how some things feel and how you view them. So for example, I thought, the house was very interesting. It's very cluttered. It seems like that house has a history because of, the way how it is, the wood, the architecture of this particular house. Because of that, I felt it was very interesting the way how the type of atmosphere the house gave. Because I was thinking, if this was a horror genre, this would be a haunted house. But because it's not a horror genre, the house is more quirky and interesting instead of like scary and mysterious. So I thought that was a very amusing little look at things. Anyway, when we get to the actual main cast and story, I felt Owen done a very good job on his character, because we do see the house through Lewis's eyes, because he is our gateway to this world. His experience becomes our experience to a certain extent. So seeing Owen's character go through these stages, being integrated into a new environment, and the environment is quite weird and wacky, not knowing much about his uncle and discovering magic and sorcery and witchcraft, he does a very good job in letting the audience see and feel what he is seeing and feeling. So I felt that the actor in that particular role done a very good job. I really did like Kate Blanchett, Miss Zimmerman, and I did like the dynamic between Mrs. Zimmerman, Jonathan. I felt that they had a really good casual friendship that was fun to watch. Them going back and forth with each other, the banter between the two, I thought worked very well. And it kind of made this film a little bit more light-hearted than what it could have been. So it made, gives you a feel of long-standing friendship. I like the way how the characters sort of played off each other. Now, what I will say to people is, if you are looking for a gateway to indoctrinate your child into magic and witchcraft and sorcery, then this is the film for you, because there is a lot of magic in this place. In fact, I didn't expect the film to be as magic heavy as it was. Not only that, there's raising the dead, there's skulls, there's skeletons in here, and I feel that this film is a lot scarier than I thought it would be. Not for me, but you know, because this is a children's film, I would say if your child is probably under the age of 8, they will probably find this film scary. How I would liken this film to is almost like Coraline, but I think Coraline is a much better film. But Coraline has some scary parts in it if you are a child, and I think this does as well. Best part of this film is the house. The house is so quirky, it's so delightful, it's so engaging. When I see the house, I want to see more. There's paintings that change, but the house is really interesting. It's got different levels. So one part can be a bit scary, there's automatons. Other parts of the house, it's more funny. Parts of the house that's more fascinating. But the house is probably this film's biggest asset. That sort of draws your attention more in the house. The fun between Mrs. Zimmerman and Jonathan's character, as well as Lewis. However, when you get to the main meat of the story, which is the clock in its walls countdown basically to doomsday, that story then is not as fascinating. And the story's okay, it's a full story, it's okay, but it's not something I enjoyed immensely. And the reason why I think that's the case is, so the person who's the bad guy, he has a shadow over the house, but he's seen as another threatening character because he's somewhere else. When this character comes back, because most of the film is centered around Owen and him assimilating into his life, it's not as interesting. He's just a necessity in order to close the page and the chapter of this film. And that's kind of how I see it. Third act is not as fun as the first act, and to some point in time, the second act. It's just a process you have to go through in order to close this chapter. The directing and special effects in this film, I think, was done very well. They do immerse you to some extent into this world. However, it doesn't mean that the story is as enchanting as the first act. And I feel that's where this film has an issue. And I feel that there's a lot of mystery surrounding the house that is much more interesting than what this end to the story is. And for that, I'll be rating this film as betwixt and between. This film is an okay film. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. There's good parts in this film, mainly with the characters and the house. The house is a big part of it. There's some not so good parts, like, you know, the story with the bad guy with the doomsday clock and everything else. I don't want to say too much, because if I say too much, I'm going to be basically spewing out spoilers. So that is my review for this film. Have you seen the film? Have you read the book? What did you think about the film? And if you have read the book, what did you think about the book? I would love to know. And thank you for watching my review. If you liked what you saw, then please click the subscribe button down at the bottom. If you're thinking, I'll come back and check you out, then hopefully I'll see you again. And remember, until next time, keep safe.